What kind of relation does Freemasonry play in all these historical facts?
Both the London Times correspondent and Sir Gerard Lothar, who was ambassador from Britain to the Turkish Empire, stated that Emmanuel Carasso had started a Masonic lodge in Salonika called the Macedonia Resorta Masonic Lodge, and he was the Grand Master of that lodge. And in that lodge, the Committee of Union and Progress created their plans for overthrowing the Sultan. And this was really the secret government behind the government of the Young Turks. It was the Committee of Union and Progress that overthrew the Sultan, that told him that he was overthrown, that captured him and imprisoned him in the houses of Jewish bankers in Salonika. And it was the Committee of Union and Progress that issued the orders for the Armenians to be exterminated. Talat Pasha was another Freemason involved with the Committee of Union and Progress, as was Javid Bai and many others. Almost everyone in the upper ranks of the Young Turkish government were both Freemasons and either open Jews or secret Jews.
Could you name some secret Jews that we might be aware of?
Well, Ataturk, of course, is the most famous. Another one was Talat Pasha, and Talat Pasha was the Minister of the Interior of the Young Turk government. He was also involved with the Committee of Union and Progress, and he was also a Grand Master Freemason. He was Grand Master of the Grand Orient Lodge in Constantinople. Javid Bai was a direct descendant of the family of Baruchia Russo, who was also a false Jewish messiah like Shabbatai Tzevi, and he was the Minister of Finance. And he made contacts through Paris to the main Jewish banking houses to help finance the Young Turk armies and to run Turkey into debt.
And those individuals proclaimed to be Turkish nationalists, basically.
Absolutely. And they tried to promote Turkish pride so that the Turks would insist that the nations in the Balkans and that all of the empire would become both Turkish and Islamic, which created tensions between Christians and Muslims. The whole plan was for secret Jews to pit Turkish and Muslims against each other so they would fight and the empire would collapse. Then when the empire had collapsed, there would be a peace conference among all these peoples, and the Jews would send a delegation to sit at the table and they would make a petition for a Jewish state in Palestine.
And in relation to all this, today's Turkey, which has been denying the genocide, does it have anything to do with historic facts that you talked about?
Yes. I believe that the Turkish military is controlled by Derme Jews. And there are a lot of other people who believe that as well, and it's basically a well-known fact. This military in Turkey has pledged itself to take the place of Ataturk. And one of the things that Ataturk insisted upon was that Turkey become a modern nation, that Turkey become a European nation, and that Turkey become a secular nation. And if anyone were to rebel against those three ideas, if they were to become strongly Muslim, strongly Turkish as opposed to European, that Ataturk would crush them politically. The military has taken the place of Ataturk, and they are the true ruling government of Turkey and have been for a very long time. Whenever rulers get out of line and don't follow the Zionism of the Turkish army, they are deposed. It's really a military dictatorship. I've heard it described tonight as a junta.
And I believe that's the same group that assassinated Hrant Dink.
I have heard that, yes, that they organized the assassination through a young man and perpetrated it. And the reason that they did it was because they feared that the Armenians were gaining strength and that there was a growing awareness of the Armenian identity of many regions of Turkey.
So it was done by the same powers, dark powers behind it.
It has been the genocide is not over. It is still a battle which is being fought. It's very much alive, and it is potentially at its most dangerous point because it threatens to spark World War III in the region. The Turks are being set up by Zionists, by Israelis, by Mossad, by the Turkish military to instigate World War III. And if that doesn't work, they're going to try it through the Iranians, they're going to try it through the Kurds, they're going to try it through the Syrians. What they're doing is creating instability. The neoconservative Zionists have always said that their goal was not stability in the Middle East, but rather instability, because they believe that through chaos, through nihilism, through the destruction of the entire region, that they will prepare the ground for a new system where they will have absolute hegemony in the region, where Israel will be the strongest, most powerful military force. And they believe that Israel has a religious, political, and moral duty to be the light unto the nations and the most powerful nation in the region and ultimately in the world. So they are creating a dynamic which will result in that by making the other people weaker, since it's very difficult for them to make themselves stronger, though they are the only major nuclear power in the region.
And in spite of all these facts, how have they been successful hiding it from people? Could you explain some of the methods that I'm sure some people now hear it and they disbelieve it or they disagree with it? How have they been able to successfully enable themselves to convince people that what we think is wrong?
Well, they're masters at secrecy. As I said, this cult would pretend to be Muslims. So they put on the face as if they're Turks. But they're not Turks, they're actually Jews descended from this group, and their loyalty is to Israel and to other Jews and not to the Turkish nationals. So the whole system is based upon secrecy. They have many allies in the media and they have many allies in government, and it is a confusing situation which they can deliberately confuse by stating that Turkey is a very important ally of the United States and Israel, and that in order to maintain stability in the region, they have to suppress the truth and suppress the historical facts which make people aware that this terrible crime happened. But in reality, they're committing another crime. The genocide was one crime, covering up the genocide is another crime. And the facts will come out, and the facts are coming out.
You've studied some Armenian history, I believe.
Yes.
Could you explain a little bit about the real Armenian spirit that you've studied?
It's an ancient spirit. It's a spirit that's very tied to Christianity. It's a spirit of nationalism, and it is a spirit of perseverance in the face of overwhelming odds against them. They lived under the Turks for a very long time. Their humanity was attacked. They were not allowed to be full citizens. They lived in a millet system where they were a nation within a nation and they didn't have equal rights with others. And this is also a part of the problem why the truth hasn't come out about all these facts. Because the Armenians have been oppressed for so long, they have developed a culture which inhibits them from coming out strongly to insist that the truth be told. Now, this is not all Armenians, but this has, I'm afraid, become a part of the culture of some Armenians, that they want to just get along instead of creating an opposition and insisting upon their rights. They were forced to live in a system where they couldn't insist upon their rights for many hundreds of years.
So basically, it's a giving up, a spirit of giving up, we could say.
I wouldn't say that. It's a multifaceted spirit. And in the political aspect, since they have been oppressed for so long, they are not a strong, cohesive political force for demanding their rights. On the other hand, they have not given up their Armenian identity. They've kept their religious beliefs, they've kept their nationalistic beliefs. And there has to be a transition where the one overwhelms the other. The nationalism has to overwhelm the oppressed spirit. And it's happening.